Ladies and gentlemen, let me share a simple idea, so simple yet so powerful that it can change your life, your finances, your relationships, your health, everything. It's the idea of daily incremental improvement. Just 1%, not 100%, not even. Now, you might say, Jim, what's 1%? That's so small. But here's what I learned. Small hinges swing big doors. And 1% improvement each day isn't just addition. It's compounding. You do that for a year, you won't be 365% better. You'll be over 37 times better. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Failure, on the other hand, is just a few errors in judgment, repeated every day. So what do you read today? Who did you talk to? What new idea did you write down? What old habit did you resist? That's your one. Stack those bricks every day, and before long, you've built a castle. Now here's the trap. Because 1% improvement feels so small, it's easy to ignore, and that's the danger. The enemy of change is comfort. And if you let a day go by with no improvement, you've not only missed the 1%, you've allowed the weeds of neglect to grow. And friends, weeds don't need watering. They grow on their own. Self-improvement is the work, but it's the good work, the meaningful work, the rewarding work. You want a better life. Get a better you. You want more income? Become more valuable. You want stronger relationships? Become more attuned. Everything changes when you change. Start with reading 10 pages a day. Start with 10 minutes of journaling. Start with drinking more water. Start with one kind word to your spouse. Start with saying no to one more distraction. Start small, but start daily. You don't need a revolution. You need rhythm. You don't need an overhaul. You need 1%. So I challenge you, starting today, become just a little better than yesterday. Because when you add up those little betters, you get remarkable. Let today be your discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment, and daily discipline practiced consistently over time is one of the greatest secrets to lasting success. Now here's the thing. Most people are looking for the breakthrough, the big moment, the dramatic transformation that turns their life around in an instant. But life doesn't usually work that way. Real progress is rarely the result of some grand sweeping action. Most of the time, it's the outcome of small, quiet victories. Habits practiced in private, decisions made in solitude, and actions taken when no one is watching. That's what I call the power of daily discipline. Let's take the example of improving yourself by just 1% each day. 1%. That's barely noticeable in the moment. You may read for 15 minutes today, listen to a podcast tomorrow, skip the sugary snack the next day, or organize your workspace the day after that. These things don't feel like life changers on their own. But the power isn't in the single act. It's in the compounding of these acts over time. You see, compounding doesn't just apply to money. It applies to effort, knowledge, habits, and growth. If you improve just 1% every day for a year, mathematically you don't just become, you become 37 times better. That's the magic of compound growth. But here's the catch. Compounding works both ways. Neglect your health 1% at a time. Ignore your responsibilities 1% at a time. And you'll find yourself in a hole you didn't intend to dig. Discipline is the safeguard against that negative momentum. When you have the discipline to stick to a simple routine, one that aligns with your values and your goals, you are setting yourself up for a life of expansion instead of erosion. And here's the truth. Discipline isn't a punishment, it's a pathway. It gives you the structure you need to be free. Free from regret, free from guilt, free from the chaos that comes with a reactive life. Now, many people struggle with discipline because they think it has to be extreme. They believe they have to change everything all at once. But I've found that massive change rarely lasts. What lasts is consistency. What lasts is showing up every day and doing what needs to be done, even if it's just a little. In fact, the smaller the change, the easier it is to sustain. You don't need to go to the gym for 2 hours on January 1st. You need to go for 15 minutes on Monday, then again on Tuesday, then again on Wednesday. That's how discipline builds. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Discipline also brings with it a sense of identity. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. You begin to see yourself not as someone who's trying to improve, but as someone who is improving. That identity shift is crucial. When you stop saying, I should do this, and start saying, this is just what I do, discipline has become part of your character. And when it becomes part of your character, you no longer need motivation every morning. You just need to be you. Of course, there will be days when discipline is hard, days when you don't feel like it, days when nothing seems to be moving fast enough. That's when you remind yourself, you're not chasing a finish line, you're investing in a way of life. Progress is not always visible in the short term, but the results are undeniable in the long term. Look at the successful people in any field: business, sports, relationships, health. They didn't get there by doing something extraordinary once. They got there by doing something ordinary every day, and they were disciplined enough to do it whether they felt like it or not. So here's the invitation. Embrace the 1%. Do the small thing. Build the small habit. Keep the small promise. Don't underestimate what can happen when you choose discipline over comfort every single day, because those tiny acts, they are not just preparing you for success. They are success. Daily discipline is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It's not fast, but it is permanent. Not easy, but it's worth it. And if you stay committed to your 1% a day, there will come a time when people will look at your life and say, how did you do it? And you'll smile knowing it was never magic. Just a little discipline, practiced daily. And that, my friend, is how greatness grows. Everything counts. Every thought, every decision, every action. Whether you know it or not, you're building something every day, brick by brick, habit by habit. And what you're building is your life. That's the law of accumulation. It says that everything accumulates over time, whether positive or negative. Success accumulates, and so does failure. Wisdom accumulates, and so does ignorance. Health accumulates, and so does neglect. It all stacks up. We often underestimate this law because it works quietly. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand our attention. It whispers. And because it whispers, we tend to ignore it. We go through the day thinking a small indulgence here or a skipped task there doesn't matter. It's just one time it's just a donut. It's just a missed workout. It's just one day off reading. It's just one rude word. But in truth, nothing is just anything, because nothing stands alone. Every action is a vote, a data point, a piece of evidence for the person you are becoming, and each one adds up. You don't become overweight from one bad meal. You don't go broke from one poor purchase. You don't lose trust from one misstep. These things happen over time, gradually, subtly. One bad decision repeated daily isn't just one bad decision. It's a pattern, and patterns shape your future. That's the law of accumulation. You're either accumulating strength or weakness, discipline or delay, progress or excuses. Now, the beautiful part of this law is that it works just as powerfully in your favor as it does against you. If you make a good choice today, if you eat a healthy meal, if you read a good book, if you practice patience in a conversation, if you push a little harder at work, those small decisions add up to something magnificent over time. And while no single choice guarantees success, the accumulation of smart choices almost certainly does. That's why the idea of improving yourself just 1% every day is so profound. It's not about becoming perfect overnight. It's not about reaching some ideal state in a week or even a month. It's about choosing to add something good, however small, to your life each day. And as you do, you are layering improvement upon improvement. Eventually you cross a threshold where your life is no longer made up of random acts, but of deliberate intention. And when you live with intention, the results begin to show up, not immediately, but inevitably. The challenge, of course, is patience. Because the law of accumulation is slow. We live in a world that rewards speed, fast money, fast food, fast fame. But success, real success, rarely comes fast. It comes from accumulated effort, patience, and persistence. You plant a seed today, water it tomorrow, and wait, and keep showing up. Then one day there's a sprout, and later there's a tree, but only if you kept doing the work. This is where many people quit. They think their efforts don't matter because they don't see immediate rewards. But success doesn't come to those who dabble. It comes to those who accumulate, day in and day out, with intention, with effort, with faith. Each day, each choice, each habit, it all adds to your life's equation. You want a better financial future? Start saving today. Even if it's just $5, then do it again tomorrow. You want to become more knowledgeable? Read one page, then another. Over time, those pages become books, and those books become wisdom. You want better relationships? Say one kind word, then another. Show up consistently. Eventually, trust accumulates. This law also means that you're never stuck. You can change direction any day you choose, because accumulation works both ways. You can start compounding in the right direction at any moment. The day you decide to stop coasting and start climbing is the day everything changes. Maybe not on the outside right away, but inside, something shifts. And that internal shift is where true transformation begins. So if today feels small, remember that small is powerful. Don't discount today's effort just because it doesn't create fireworks. What you do today may not make headlines, but it does make history. Your history. If you want to change your future, start by changing what you accumulate. Let each day be a deposit into the life you want, not the life you're drifting into. Because life doesn't just happen to you, it accumulates through you. And when you live with that awareness, when you realize that every little bit matters, you stop treating today like a throwaway day. You start treating it like what it is, a building block of your destiny. Time is the most valuable asset you'll ever own. Not money, not property, not even talent, because all of those can be gained, lost, or replaced. But time, once it's spent, it's gone. You can't save it, you can't rewind it, and you can't bargain for more of it. And yet most people treat time like it's cheap, like it's disposable. But here's the truth. Time is the great equalizer. Everyone gets 24 hours a day. What you do with those 24 hours will determine the quality of your life, your work, your relationships, and your future. Now let's talk about how to treat time, not just as something to get through, but as an investment. Every day you wake up, you're given a deposit of 1440 minutes. That's your capital. That's your startup fund. You can spend it, waste it, or invest it. Most people don't think twice about spending 60 minutes on a TV show or scrolling through social media, but hesitate to spend 15 minutes reading a book or planning their day. Why? Because the return on those investments isn't immediate. But just like financial investing, the greatest gains come from delayed gratification and compound growth. Imagine if you invested just 30 minutes a day into learning a new skill. That's 3.5 hours a week. That's 14 hours a month. That's 68 hours a year, the equivalent of 4 full work weeks, spent sharpening your mind, expanding your value, or deepening your wisdom. Now tell me, what would 68 hours of focused learning do for your career, for your confidence, for your income? Probably a lot more than the 68 hours spent watching reruns or chasing distractions. Time invested in yourself pays dividends in every area of your life. Read a book and your thinking improves. Journal your thoughts and your clarity grows. Practice a skill and your competence increases. Spend time mentoring someone and your leadership sharpens. Time is not just something you use, it's something you plant. And like seeds, the harvest doesn't show up the next morning, but it will show up if you keep planting. Now there's a difference between spending time and investing time. Spending time feels good in the moment, but often leaves you with little to show for it. Investing time might not always feel exciting up front, but it creates value over time. You see, your time decisions are really value decisions. You're not just choosing how to spend time. You're choosing what you believe is worth your attention, your energy, and your future. The person who chooses to invest time today to become just 1% better is choosing to compound their future. They're saying, I value the version of me that will exist a year from now, 5 years from now. That mindset is rare, but powerful. Most people live in reaction mode. They respond to emergencies, to texts, to requests, to entertainment. They move through their days busy, but not productive, active, but not advancing. The person who learns to invest time rises above that. They live intentionally. They build a future on purpose. And here's something else to think about. Time multiplies when it's directed. When you set clear goals and align your time toward them, you start to move faster. You make smarter decisions. You avoid wasting effort on things that don't matter. It's like steering a boat. You can have a powerful engine, but if you're not steering, you just... Time without direction leads to drifting. But time with direction, that's momentum. Another important thing, where you put your time reveals your priorities. You can say health matters, but if your schedule doesn't include time to exercise or eat right, it doesn't. You can say family matters, but if you never invest time to connect, it doesn't. What shows up on your calendar reflects what shows up in your life. The key is to start small. You don't need to overhaul your schedule overnight. Start with 10 minutes in the morning to read something meaningful. Spend 15 minutes reflecting on your day before bed. Use the first 30 minutes of your workday to move the most important project forward. Block time for growth, like you'd block time for a meeting. Protect it, honor it, because every minute spent becoming better is a minute that multiplies in value. If you don't value your time, no one else will. If you treat your time casually, you'll live with casual results. But if you treat it like the treasure it is, if you invest it wisely, then life over time will reward you richly. Time is your most loyal partner or your greatest loss. The difference is in how you use it. Choose to invest it. Choose to improve. And you'll look back one day, not wondering where the time went, but grateful for where it took you. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. That's a principle too many people overlook. We live in a world fascinated by big moves, flashy transformations, and overnight successes. But the truth is, real achievement, the kind that lasts, is built on simple, repeated actions over time. That's the power of consistency. It's not glamorous, not loud, but it works. Most people chase intensity. They get fired up, set big goals, and go all in for a while. They start with a burst of energy, but it fades. They lose steam. They get distracted, and then they stop. That's the problem with intensity. It depends on emotion, and emotion is temporary. But consistency, that's built on discipline. It shows up whether you feel like it or not. And it's not driven by excitement. It's driven by commitment. You don't need to run 10 miles in one day. You need to run 1 mile 10 days in a row. You don't need to read a whole book in one sitting. You need to read 10 pages a day until you finish. You don't need to work on your business for 12 straight hours. You need to do something meaningful every single day to move it forward. Because small things, done regularly, add up to something extraordinary. Think of a drop of water hitting a rock. One drop, nothing changes. But if that same drop falls in the same spot every second, every hour, every day, it eventually carves through stone. That's consistency. It may look weak at first glance, but over time it becomes one of the strongest forces you can harness. The problem is, we don't see immediate results, so we lose faith in the process. We lift weights for a week and still look the same. We start eating better and the scale doesn't move. We write for a few days, and the pages feel rough, so we quit. But what if we stayed the course? What if we kept showing up? Because just beneath the surface of your consistent efforts lies a breakthrough waiting to emerge. But you'll never see it if you stop digging. One of the great benefits of consistency is momentum. The hardest part of any journey is getting started. But once you start moving and keep going, it becomes easier. Your mind adjusts. Your body adapts. Your confidence grows. Consistency creates habits, and habits create outcomes. After a while, the effort that once felt hard becomes second nature. And here's another truth. Consistency builds trust, both in yourself and with others. Every time you show up for yourself, you prove to your own mind that you are reliable. You said you'd do it, and you did. That builds self-respect. That builds inner strength. And people around you start to notice too. They trust people who are steady. They admire people who are dependable. And that trust opens doors. Consistency also simplifies decision-making. When you make something a non-negotiable habit, you no longer have to wonder, should I do it today? You just do it. That saves energy. That eliminates mental clutter. You're not battling yourself all the time, because you've already decided, this is what I do. This is who I am. Now that doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Perfection is a trap. It creates pressure. It feeds shame, and it's impossible to maintain. What matters is persistence, not perfection. You're gonna have off days. You're gonna miss a workout, eat the wrong thing, lose your temper, procrastinate. That's life. But consistency means you don't let a bad day become a bad week. You get back on track. You keep going. Some of the most successful people in the world didn't have the best talent, or the most resources, or the ideal start, but they kept showing up, day after day, week after week. They did the work even when they didn't feel like it. And that's what separated them from the crowd. Not the flash, but the follow-through. You want to change your life? Don't look for the quick fix. Look for the daily habit, the small promise you can keep. Then keep it. Do it again tomorrow, and again the next day. Stack your days. Build your rhythm. Let consistency do the heavy lift. Because when the excitement fades, and it always does, it's consistency that carries you forward. It's not what you do once that changes your life. It's what you do every single day. Over time, that's what builds your future. Not in one dramatic moment, but through thousands of small invisible wins that eventually create something remarkable. Choose consistency. It may feel slow, but it's always strong. It may not be flashy, but it never fails. Your life is a reflection of your habits, not your goals, not your hopes, not your wishes, but your habits. What you do repeatedly shapes who you become. If you want to know where your life is headed, take a look at your daily routine. Because success is not an event, it's a pattern. It's the accumulation of small disciplines practiced consistently over time, and that all begins with your habits. Now, most people think habits are only about productivity, waking up early, making to-do lists, staying organized. But the truth is, habits touch every area of your life. The way you think, the way you speak, the way you treat people, the way you eat, the way you handle stress. All of it is habit-driven. We are creatures of routine, whether we admit it or not. The question is, are your habits working for you or against you? Good habits are like compound interest. You may not see much payoff in the beginning, but over time, they yield enormous returns. Reading 10 pages of a good book a day doesn't seem like much until you look back a year later and realize you've read 12 books. Taking the stairs instead of the elevator might not change your body overnight, but do it for 6 months and your energy, strength, and health start to shift. That's the magic of habits. They work quietly, but they work powerfully. Now here's the thing. Habits don't care whether they're good or bad. They'll produce results either way. A habit of procrastination will produce missed opportunities. A habit of negative self-talk will produce low self-worth. A habit of spending more than you earn will produce debt. And the scary part is, most bad habits start out harmless. Just a little indulgence. Just a small exception. I'll skip it today. I'll start tomorrow. It's just one time. But repeat it often enough, those little exceptions become your lifestyle. That's why it's so important to build your habits intentionally. Don't leave them to chance. Don't let life choose your patterns. You choose them, You must become the architect of your daily behavior. Decide what kind of person you want to be, and then build habits that reflect that vision. If you want to be a strong communicator, make it a habit to listen deeply and speak with clarity. If you want to be financially secure, make it a habit to budget, save, and invest wisely. If you want to be healthy, make it a habit to move your body and feed it with care. Who you want to become should drive what you do every day. Now, the good news is, you don't have to make massive changes overnight. Start small. Habits are like seeds. They begin tiny, almost invisible, but given time and consistency, they grow into something much. Start by choosing one small thing you can do daily that moves you in the right direction. Keep it simple. Keep it doable. The goal isn't to impress. It's to build. And the more you repeat a behavior, the more automatic it becomes. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is what turns decisions into habits. It's what bridges the gap between knowing and doing. You can read every book, attend every seminar, and know all the right things, but until you turn that knowledge into action, nothing changes. Discipline makes that possible. It helps you follow through even when motivation is low. And as Jim Rohn often said, discipline is the foundation upon which all success is built. Here's another insight. Your environment shapes your habit. If you want to change your behavior, sometimes the fastest way is to change your surroundings. Keep junk food out of the house, and you'll eat less of it. Surround yourself with people who are growth-minded, and you'll start thinking bigger. Keep your goals visible, and you'll stay focused. Set up your world to support the habits you want to build. Also, remember this. Your habits don't just affect you. They affect everyone around you. Your consistency inspires others. Your attitude rubs off. Your example sets a standard. Whether you realize it or not, you're leading by the way you live. And when you build strong habits, you don't just elevate your own life. You lift others too. So take a moment and reflect. What habits are running your life right now? Which ones are building you up? Which ones are quietly tearing you down? The good news is, habits can be changed. It takes intention, effort, and time, but it can be done. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your systems are your habits. Build them wisely, because at the end of the day, your future isn't created in one grand moment. It's created in your daily habits. The little things you do, day in and day out, shape your character, your results, and your legacy. So make those little things count. Let them work for you, not against you. And trust that with the right habits, success is not just possible, it's inevitable. Everybody loves the idea of setting goals. You hear it all the time. Set big goals, chase your dreams, go after what you want, and that's good. Goals give us direction. They create clarity. They give us something to aim at. But goals alone don't get results. What gets results is what you do every single day to move toward those goals. That's called the process. And if you fall in love with the process, success becomes inevitable. See, too many people become obsessed with the outcome. They focus on the end result. The perfect body, the successful business, the dream lifestyle. But they forget that none of those things happen by magic. They happen because someone made the decision to show up, to put in the reps, to master the boring, necessary daily work. If you're only in love with the result, you'll quit the moment progress feels slow. But if you fall in love with the process, you'll keep going, even when the results haven't shown up yet. Let's take an example. Suppose you want to become fit and healthy. The goal might be to lose 30 pounds, build muscle, or run a marathon. That's your target. But what gets you there is not thinking about the goal every day. It's doing the work. It's waking up and choosing to work out. It's planning your meals. It's drinking water instead of soda. Sleeping enough. These are process-driven actions, and when you do them long enough, the outcome takes care of itself. This is true in every area. In business, your goal might be to make 6 figures, or grow a successful brand. But the process, that's creating valuable products, reaching out to clients, making sales calls, learning marketing, showing up consistently. In writing, the goal might be to publish a book, but the process is writing for 30 minutes every day, editing, rewriting, facing writer's block, and staying in the chair when it gets tough. The process is what most people ignore, and it's also what separates those who achieve from those who only wish. Why is focusing on the process so powerful? Because the process is what you can control. You can't control when exactly success will come. You can't always control the pace of progress, but you can control your effort. You can control your actions. You can control whether or not you show up today and do the work. And when you focus on that, you stay empowered. You stay productive, even on the days when the scoreboard isn't moving yet. Now, here's something else to understand. When you commit to the process, you begin to change not just your circumstances, but the discipline you build, the patience you develop, the skills you sharpen. Those are things no one can take from you. You become more than someone chasing the goal. You become someone capable of reaching any goal. That's the deeper reward. Jim Rohn once said, "Don't set a goal to become a millionaire for the money. Set it for the person you'll become in the process." That statement holds incredible wisdom. The process shapes your character. It molds your thinking. It teaches you resilience. And those qualities, they outlast any single achievement. When you focus only on the outcome, you become easily discouraged. If the weight doesn't drop fast enough, if the business doesn't take off quickly, if your efforts don't seem to be paying off, you feel like quitting. But when you fall in love with the process, you begin to value the journey just as much as the destination. You find meaning in the doing. And ironically, that's when progress tends to accelerate. That's also why celebrating small wins along the way matter. When you focus on the process, you learn to take joy in completing today's workout, writing today's page, making today's call. Each small win becomes proof that you're on the right path. It builds confidence, and confidence fuels consistency. Remember, most people don't fail because their goal was impossible. They fail because they abandoned the process too soon. They wanted the reward, but they weren't willing to run the race. Don't be one of them. Build the habit of showing up, no matter how you feel. Do the work when it's boring. Stay disciplined when it's hard. Stay patient when it's slow. Because success isn't a single event. It's the result of a well-lived process repeated over time. Keep your eyes on the prize. Yes, but keep your hands on the work. Trust the process, and it will deliver more than you imagined. Not just results, but transformation. And that, in the end, is what real success is all about. If you want to grow, if you want to improve even just 1% every day, then you've got to pause every now and then and reflect. That's right. You need to stop, look back, and ask yourself a few key questions. How am I doing? What's working? What's not working? What needs to change? You see, growth without reflection is like sailing a ship without checking your compass. You may be moving fast, but you could be heading in the wrong direction. Most people don't take time to reflect. They're too busy doing, too busy moving. They wake up, rush through the day, get to the evening exhausted, and repeat the same thing the next day. But doing more isn't the goal. Doing the right things, that's what matters. And how do you know what the right things are? You reflect, you observe, you adjust. Reflection is where learning happens. It's where wisdom is born. Jim Rohn used to say, "A life worth living is a life worth recording." That means taking time to review your thoughts, your actions, your habits, your direction, whether it's through journaling, thinking quietly at the end of the day, or sitting down once a week to evaluate your goals. You need to build in time to look inward, because you can't improve what you don't measure, and you can't grow from what you never examine. Now, reflection is not about beating yourself up. It's not about judgment, shame, or guilt. It's about learning. It's about asking, what did I do well this week? What could I have done better? Where did I slip? And what can I learn from that? This honest, thoughtful review helps you spot patterns. It helps you catch bad habits early and strengthen good ones while they're still growing. And here's the truth. No matter how committed you are, you will drift off course. That's just life. Distractions show up. Emotions get in the way. Unexpected events knock you off balance. That's not failure. It's normal. What matters is how quickly you course correct. A plane flying from New York to Los Angeles is off course about 90% of the time due to wind, weather, and other factors. But constant adjustments keep it on track. That's the key. Constant adjustments. And those only happen when you reflect. Course correction is a skill, and the quicker you develop it, the faster you'll grow. The earlier you catch yourself veering off course, the less damage is done. The sooner you realize you've been wasting time on the wrong things, the sooner you can refocus on what matters. The faster you notice that your attitude has slipped, the quicker you can reset it. That's what successful people do. They don't wait until the wheels fall off. They check in early. They course correct often. Now reflection also helps you stay connected to your why. Over time, it's easy to forget why you started something. You begin with passion, with clarity, but then life crowds in, and routines take over. Reflection brings you back to center. It reminds you of your deeper purpose. It keeps your vision sharp, and your motivation fresh. And don't overlook the power of celebrating progress during reflection. One of the greatest motivators is realizing how far you've come. Maybe you're not where you want to be yet, but you're further than you were last week, last month, last year. That's worth acknowledging. Progress, no matter how small, deserves to be noticed. It fuels your belief and energizes your next step. So make reflection a habit. Schedule it. Don't leave it to chance. Just like you plan your workouts, your meetings, and your goals, plan time to reflect. 10 minutes a day, 30 minutes a week, an hour a month. You'll be amazed at what you discover when you look beneath the surface of your daily actions. Ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my values? Are my habits moving me toward my goals, or pulling me away? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? Who do I need to become in order to get where I want to go? These aren't easy questions, but they're necessary ones, and the answers will light your path. Remember, the 1% daily improvement philosophy isn't just about taking action, it's about taking smart action. Reflection ensures that your actions stay purposeful, your habits stay aligned, and your growth stays on track. Without reflection, you can get lost in activity. With reflection, you turn activity into progress. With reflection, you gain clarity, confidence, and control over your journey. So keep showing up, keep doing the work, but take time to look back. Take time to think, to learn, to adjust, because the power to improve lies not just in effort, but in awareness. And with regular reflection and course correction, that 1% daily improvement will become not just a theory, but a lifestyle, and eventually, a transformation.